It's the left. You're talking about true evil. When you work diligently to keep people hopeless and uneducated, that's what I call evil. You go to the state of California, where 75% of black boys in the state of California, 2017, cannot pass standard reading and writing tests. When young people cannot read and write, we're not going to talk about Space Corps. We're not going to have conversations like this. They're going to turn on the networks and be driven by emotion because they have no hope, no way of thinking, no way of reasoning.
What kind of traction are you getting? Because, it's funny, the way Twitter operates, I see certain personalities that will bubble up for a while, and then I'll click a profile. I'll go, oh, this guy's running for Congress in Utah, this girl's running for something in Florida, something else. And you're kind of like, oh, well, they're sort of popular on Twitter or they make sense here, but it's a little hard to tell as an outsider, well, is this gaining traction at home? How can you grade sort of where your campaign is at? Are there weak spots that you want to shore up, that kind of thing?
Very good. I think the blessings that I've had is that I never thought about being a politician all these years. I mean, it literally did not happen until by this time last year. So up until this point, I came out with a book. The first one was Liberalism, How to Turn Good Men into Whiners, Winnies, and Wimps. And that got me on just around the same time that Carpenter, yes, it's a good title, it really is. But it's just about the same time that Carpenter was doing his kneeling. So I had a chance to get on and share with America my thoughts, my pride in country, and that what I saw as really being detrimental. So I had a chance to develop some friendships throughout the time. And so now that I'm running, I really have an opportunity to have exposure that's been very advantageous for me. We have a community, again, because we're very conservative, that looks at Fox. So many people knew me somewhat, even though I was in a very small niche. I was working with at-risk kids, so it wasn't out in the community a whole lot. But it's been an opportunity for me, first of all, to really know this district a lot more than I would have ever, to know our state a lot better because I'm now out talking with people. And what I'm finding is that my message resonates. We all just want to have somebody who's willing to stand and not wilt and not feel ashamed or not apologize. And I tell you, at the end of the day, when God, country, family, and race is the most important thing before anything else, it's easy to stand. It really is. It's no big deal. Because if that's being attacked, then you want to run to make sure you protect all the above. And that's what I'm finding now across our country. We have conservatives that really get it. They don't mind taking the hit. They don't mind being called names because it doesn't mean a thing. Matter of fact, I tell people call me names, make sure you're using your time right because it doesn't impact me. You might be wasting a lot of time because it doesn't bother me at all. So together we get that group together and we give this message to those, again, who's been truly used over the last few months, abused over the last few months. I think we have a point now we can start to resonate and say, yes, guys, let's work together to get our economy back to where it was a few months ago. And this time, know who the enemy is and never go back. And I think that's where we come out of this process with.
Yeah. So as I said, I was on your website this morning. I was looking at the issues that you knock out one at a time. Let's just do two or three that you're particularly passionate about. I'll even toss them up to you. Give me two or three that you really care about that you think are the core issues that can help you win.
Very good, Dave. Again, everything that I'm working with is based on those promises: life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's the bottom line. For us to understand that, we have to be educated. Ignorant and free can never be. Thomas Jefferson. That is so powerful. And the left has understood that a long time. That's why they've worked very hard to make sure we stay ignorant. It's the left. You're talking about true evil. When you work diligently to keep people hopeless and uneducated, that's what I call evil. You go to the state of California, where 75% of black boys in the state of California, 2017, cannot pass standard reading and writing tests. When young people cannot read and write, we're not going to talk about Space Corps. We're not going to have conversations like this. They're going to turn on the networks and be driven by emotion because they have no hope, no way of thinking, no way of reasoning. They'll never read the scriptures. So connection with a God in heaven will never, ever happen. And you go to every single threshold, every single city that's owned by the leftists, by the Democrats, you see the exact same thing: hopelessness, anger, and literacy. So education is going to be a big piece. Now, the other part of education is that what they've done in higher education. So it's not just the poor kids that are being attacked. It's the rest of our kids. It's our middle class. We raise our kids in a great environment. We send them off to get a degree. They come back as little Marxists, hating our country and not being able to think at all about reasoning. They've been doing this for so long, and now you see it in the streets across the country. Antifa, they're not black kids. They're middle class yuppie. In my days, yuppie is what was cool. I don't know if it's still cool anymore, but they're kids who have the wealth, but they hate our country. What I think we should do is very simply this. I talked about this earlier. Let's put together a program, an understanding of what is expected of our colleges. They want our money. First of all, we have to see transparency. How much are they succeeding, and what areas we need as a country. If they don't hit those areas, those metrics, we get our money. We take it back, put it someplace else. So education is the first thing. One of the things that just warmed my heart, really warmed my heart, when I saw the riots in Minneapolis. They had this video of these black owners, black businesses just next to each other. Yeah, and in the window, black owned, big black owned. And this was an opportunity for all of us to see what a Passover looks like, because the locusts and the pillage of looters passed over these businesses. Why? Because there was these AR-15s sitting there on these shoulders, these kids, knowing that if you show up here, you're going to have some issues. They passed by to go to those companies, those businesses that still believe that the bureaucracy is going to save them. So I think those are the two top things: is education. Education will allow us to have the mindset to go out and build our own businesses, build our property, which is important. That's what the pursuit of happiness was in place for pursuit of property. Where that property will be tangible property, intellectual property, spiritual property passed down to our kids, our name, those things we work our lives to build. At the end of the day, on our last breath, we should be able to say, I'm so glad I lived because this is my legacy. That's what a property truly means. And in order to protect that, we need to be educated to think about what it looks like and have the vision to get there. We also have to have the tools to protect every single step of the way so nobody can come in and steal it from us. And we now understand, when we talk about needing to have that ability, go to these cities where they were just let loose. Evil was just let loose in these cities. We start to see what it really looks like, and where we can never let that happen in our lifetime.
Do you think that that mindset of how to conquer all of this is really the same mindset, whether you're an entrepreneur or a professional athlete or a politician that really wants to change things properly, that it is purely a mindset of, I am going to dedicate myself to this relentlessly and see it fit? And maybe that's why you can see it as a former NFL player, where some people can't quite see it because, there's this idea that somehow victimhood gives you virtue these days, or can't someone else do it, or the rules are so against me that I can't do it. But it's like, if we think of all of our heroes, our sports heroes or fictional heroes, they did it. They said, it doesn't matter how messed up the game is, I'm going to win, I'm going to fix it.
And that's what comes out of a healthy environment. That's what came out of my community growing up. Your parents, when we have the idea, first of all, life is not always, quote, fair. Life is difficult, and there are people who are going to try to slow you down. But if you have the tenacity, you can dream because you've educated yourself to know this is possible. And you have the faith to know that you're just as special as anybody else. Then we can overcome those obstacles. The problem we're having in my community, and we're now having across the country, and I say this as often as I can, what destroyed my community was turned it upside down. So we see kids now that are acting like victims, and it's destroying their own properties. It was not white supremacists. It never has been white supremacists. We beat out white supremacists. It's been black elitists. It's been those with stealth, those who look like me, those who talk like me, those who put their arms around and say, we're going to make things right and make things so it's all fair, and they sell out. They go to Congress, the Black Caucus, the NAACP, you name them, the elitists. Instead of giving us hope and telling us what we can do, they purposely put in place impediments. They put in laws that make sure the poor cannot become middle class, to make sure that our poor black kids could never be educated. Why? Because they're stuck because of this anti-choice that these black elitists will vote for and stand for, and see their people destroyed because they don't care. So it is truly elitism across the board that's our enemy. And I'll say this, if we go ahead and educate ourselves, not to the propaganda of the leftists, educate ourselves to our history, educate ourselves to what we the people have done. I tell you, Dave, if we did that, let me just real quick story. I would never, ever, I'm not a racist, I never will be, but my point is, but particularly for German and Mexican Americans, will ever look down or feel bad about that race, those people. Why? Because when my great-great-grandfather came here in the belly of the slave ship, they escaped South Carolina plantation, the Burgess plantation. They went the southern and western route of the Underground Railroad. Guess who was making that happen? Christian German Americans and Mexican Americans that opened their doors, opened their fields, fed them, gave them hope along the way. And what happened on that trip out west, not only did my great-great-grandfather understand he could make great things happen, but he was able to forgive and went on to be a successful entrepreneur, owned 102 acres of land that he bought in 2 years, a pillarless community, because along the way, this travel, he realized that all white people aren't bad.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.